In this tech tip video, we're going to talk about our knotter adjustment. So as we come down here on our knotters, one of the very first things we want to look at here is at the end of every season during our winter work is we want to take our 9/16 wrench. So this is our worm gear right here. We're going to put it down here on our nut, and you're going to move it back and forth. Now, do you see all that play gap that you have right in here? This is not good. These pinions are wore out, and we need to go in here and we need to replace these pinions. We may even need to come in here and take out a shim or move a shim over here to be able to suck this whole knotter play up in here. We want to have this to where basically you just have about that much movement in there. You hardly have any movement. So that's the first thing you're going to look at. You're going to look at your pinion gear play. Another thing is when you climb up here, and if you're able to spin this washer or spacer right here, that's going to tell you need to tighten up your end play on your knotter. And that's done over here on these eccentric cam locks. You can see that these have been cut and have been tightened up quite a bit. So you have one on the left hand, one on the middle, and one on the right. And so when you adjust one, it doesn't matter which one of the three, you're actually adjusting the whole stack. Now the next thing that we're going to want to look at is we'll go ahead, we're going to raise up our knotter here. Now it's important that when you raise these up that you can grab right here and go to about this point. I always like to put my pin and cotter pin back in, and I like to grab right here and raise it up. Your tendency is you're going to want to reach over and grab right here, but as you can see as we bring this up and as this knife arm comes right through here, you're going to pinch and cut your fingers. So now that we've raised our knotter up here, you can see that we have twine and hay buildup right back in here. So one way to get rid of that is we can take our screwdriver. We're going to put it right in here like this. We're going to pry it apart. We're going to take our blowgun right here, and you can see we can blow all that dirt out of there. Next spot that we're going to do is we're going to come right over here on this bill hook cam, and so you're going to get build up inside of here, and the same thing down on the underside of your tongue right up in here. You're going to get hay build up. You're going to take your blowgun and blow that off. Now you're going to take your tongue and you're going to put it just like this. Then you're going to come and roll this, and you're going to look for flat spots on your roller tongue. And if you have any flat spots right here on your tongue, you can go ahead and replace just the tongue portion of your bill hook. We're also going to be looking for wear inside of this cam. If we have excessive wear, then we're going to go ahead and replace that. We're also looking down here on the underside. It's a little hard to see, but on the underside of this tongue, we're going to be looking for wear on the tongue, on this tongue portion from the tongue twine rubbing on there. Now the next thing we're going to be doing, as you can see how this knife arm, it won't stay up, it wants to fall down. So that's not how we want it to be. We want this knife arm so it will rub really good across this bill hook. So what we're going to do is we're going to come right here at this point. Our knife arm is off of our bill hook, and we're going to hit right here with a hammer. You're going to want a fairly heavy hammer, and we're going to come and hit right here. Okay, you can see It's a little bit better. It will now stay up there. All right, so that's, you can see now we have good rub going on there. It takes a little bit to pull this off. Now let's say I hammer it down too tight. So I'm going to come right here. I'm going to put our knife arm right here on top of our bill hook like I have it. Now I'm going to hit right here. So if I come right over here and I give that a good hit, you can see now that that's loosened up. So that's how you go through and adjust your knife arm. Now the next thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to show you off of this knife arm I have sitting here, we get wear right through here and right here on the inside and on the corner and on the corner. Now we need to come in here every year and grind this down. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our, so just a good old 90-degree die grinder with a grinder disc on here. We're going to come right out here. We're going to pull this off, and we can come right here and we can grind this down. Now we're going to come underneath here like this, and we can grind down the inside portion. Now the corners of this right here, the corners on this knife arm that we just ground down are still sharp. So that's where you're going to need to get you're going to take your emery cloth and you're going to come in here and you're just going to smooth this down really good so that the whole thing is nice and smooth. Now another part that you're going to look for is right here. You can see on this knife arm that the bill hook has been rubbing on this knife arm. So sometimes these knife arms will get bent, will cause it to rub. Sometimes they're just a little thick right here. So if you take your die grinder, kind of come in here and just grind that down, that's a good way to take care of it. Now our roller, we want to make sure that our roller is running good. We have no flat spots right here taking place on our knife arm roller. It's important that you take this snap ring off. You have a washer here, pull your roller off, and then you have a washer here. And in that process, you're going to go ahead and you can clean this all off and then put it back together. And that probably should be done once every year to make sure that this won't bind up. About every 20,000 bells, you'll go ahead and change this knife arm roller. Next thing we're going to talk about is our knife arm knife. Now you can see how this knife has nicks in it right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to replace this knife. So we'll go ahead and bend this tab back here, bend this tab, come in here with our socket, remove these two bolts, and go ahead and replace this. Remember this little ledger plate right here, it's going to start to get wear. You can see how it's starting to wear down right now. And that you can kind of hit it with your die grinder over a period. This one here is getting enough wear that I would probably go ahead and replace this ledger plate. Go ahead and replace this knife and put it on here. A lot of guys go in and sharpen these knives up. If that is one way. We have found that when it gets to this point, we just go ahead and put a knife on. This seems like these knives are pretty good. We can go about 20,000 bells on them. So those are some checks to look for on your knife arm. Now the next thing we're going to look for is, this is called our twine disc, our twine cleaner, and our twine holder. Okay, you can see how this twine cleaner is bound up in here. It should be moved and be free like this is. So you can see how we got dirt impacted in here. You'll need to go in here, clean that out really good. The next thing that we're going to look for is about every 20,000 bells, this twine holder is going to get wore. It's going to get a groove on the inside of here, so we'll need to replace this. On our twine disc, we're going to be looking for wear right here, kind of in this saddle. When the groove starts to get real bad, then we'll go ahead and remove, and we'll replace this twine disc. When we replace the twine disc, we always put a new twine holder in there. We kind of make it a match set. It's really not. It's just a good way that you're always keeping things fresh on it for you. The next item that we're going to be looking for here is, this is our twine holder spring. You can see I can't move this spring back and forth. This takes a 1/2 inch wrench. You're going to want to be able to come in here with your wrench and loosen this up. And what we're looking for, like on this one right here, you can see how I can just kind of move this back and forth. That's what we want. We don't want that really tight. The purpose of this is to put enough pressure on the bill hook so in the tying position our knot is, the loop on our knot is tight, but it's not a loose, sloppy knot. Here about 20,000 bells, this pinion's going to start to get wear. You'll replace this. At about 20,000, we go in and just do a complete knot or overhaul for the most part. We go in and replace these twine holder springs. Here, remember, this is on our first knot, on our tail length. This is what we use to adjust. In another knot video, we talked about our twine tensioners. On our second knot, to lengthen that tail, we go down underneath and we tighten up our twine tensioners. As we lower this, we're going to be looking at this pinion. As we lower it down, we're going to be looking for cracks. Also, I talked earlier about these pinions. On these pinions, when we replace our worm gear pinion, we also are going to replace this bill hook pinion. It's going to have wear on it, and that's really important to replace those two at the same time so you can adjust your play, your end play that we just talked about. Now the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk a little bit about cleaning your knotters. Now you can see as we raise this up, you get dirt down in these pinion gears. We want to come in here, and this is just a good old cotter pin puller. You can come in here and clean these out really good. You can see that you get grease build up in these pinions. You want to go in here and clean this up really good. And the same thing up here. So you can see after we've taken our cotter pin puller and we went in here and cleaned these off really good, now we're going to want to come in with our can of, and I would do this at the very beginning, take your starting fluid, come in here, clean this off really good. And I would do that to everyone. Sometimes if it's real dirty, we may use a can of starting fluid per knotter. So go ahead, and it's really important that these knotters are really clean, really good. We've gotten the hay buildup out of here, the hay buildup out of here, and the hay buildup over in this area. We'll get hay buildup. But these are all nice and clean, and all the parts are moving freely. So those are some of the knotter adjustments